When I was a freshman in college, I completely totaled my minivan on the way to an orthodontist appointment. And as I was sitting on the side of the freeway, the first person that I decided to call was not the police officers, which would have been a good idea. I did not call my parents, also would have been a good idea. No, I decided to call the orthodontist office and inform them that I was not going to be able to make it to the appointment. The lady at the front desk, she asked me, why not? And I told her that I was indisposed and decided not to inform her that I was currently sitting on the side of the freeway, my van totaled. Last summer, I was working in Seattle and my car got stolen. I came out of the building that I was working in with all of my tools, and I looked at where I had just parked my car hours ago, and it wasn't there. Now, naturally, since it was Seattle, I assumed that it had gotten towed. I'd parked somewhere that you weren't supposed to or something like that. But no, eventually I figured out, yes, my car got stolen. And the officer that eventually showed up on the scene and took my statement, the first thing that he told me after he took my statement, you seem very calm, considering your car got stolen. Most of the time, when I come to these cases and people's cars are stolen, they're freaking out. I no longer have a vehicle, but not you. In fact, you even seem happy. Of course, little did he know that I wasn't very fond of that car. And honestly, I had wanted a new car for a long time, and it was finally a good excuse to go out and buy a new car since I needed one for work. So you may be wondering by now, why am I telling you my embarrassing stories on the road? No, it is not just because I like making fun of myself, although that is true. It's because of my demeanor in both of these situations. As I was sitting on the side of the freeway, and as I was waiting for a police officer to arrive on the scene of my stolen vehicle, I told myself, it happens. And I think that this is something that I wish that I could communicate to a lot of people, and I wish that a lot of people could have this in their lives. The ability, in a bad situation, to just stop and breathe and say to themselves, it happens. So, there's a study of 300 individual studies over a 30-year inquiry into the relationship between stress and the immune system. I know this is coming out of left field, but really it's not, because during this time of COVID-19 pandemic, the immune system is something that we should all be considering very strongly. And what this study found is that, yes, there is quite the correlation between the two. A high amount of stress leads to a highly reduced functionality of the immune system. So I'm sure that all of you have heard many times before that stress is bad, ultimately. But one of the most unnecessary ways that we are stressed out in our lives is the stress that we feel after a bad situation. Because most of the time, when you give a bad speech, people may think, oh, it wasn't that great. And they might not think much of it. When you get in a car accident, it may be embarrassing. Okay, that's a bad example because your car insurance will probably go up. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, in a lot of these situations, it doesn't make very much sense to be caught up on the details and be thinking to yourself, oh, what have I done? I really messed up this time. I messed up bad. It's a waste of time, really. And now, maybe you're thinking that I'm just an overwhelmingly positive person. But no, this is something that I've learned over a long time in my life. Because I was not always like this. I did not always have the ability to get in a car accident and tell myself, it happens. But after a couple times of doing this and developing that ability, it has really helped me out. And my family thinks I'm pretty weird, personally, about this whole thing. Because they think that it's not normal to get in a car accident and think to yourself, it happens. So now, to further embarrass myself, I'd like to tell you about the first time that I kissed a girl. It went a little bit like this. As we were sitting there watching a movie, I leaned in to kiss her, I close my eyes, and I completely miss. And I open my eyes wide, I look at her, completely embarrassed. All I can think is, oh my gosh, I missed the landing zone. And she looks at me and she says, "Are you going to try again?" And in that moment, the thing that I realized is that in most of these situations, people are not going to remember the bad speech. People are not going to remember when you trip in the hallways. Maybe for a little while, but it's something that is eventually going to be forgotten, or something that doesn't really matter. As I said earlier, getting in a car accident matters. But in most of these situations, having a calm demeanor is extremely important. Not only that, it can reduce your stress. And as I mentioned, stress can help out your immune system. And right now, that is of the utmost importance. So one thing that is related to this is your smiling. And that is another thing that I do, is sometimes I will just, in a bad situation, I'll just smile. Because when you smile in a bad situation, your smile sends serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins directly into your bloodstream, effectively convincing you that you're happy. Now, usually it's a very short-term kind of thing. So the main way that I use this is on my runs, when I've run 3 miles and I'm breathing hard and I'm going up a hill and I'm almost there and I'm kind of dying, but not really. I'll smile and I'll be able to make it that last little bit. So what I want to tell you and what I want to leave with you is that in bad situations, calm down, take a breath, and tell yourself it happens. It will save you a huge amount of grief. People may think that you are bizarre, but eventually they will respect the fact that you have this ability to be calm in the midst of stress. And as you enter the workforce, this is something that is extremely important, because most places are extremely stressful. And the ability to stay calm in the midst of stress, and the ability to continue to function in the midst of stress, is very important. And it's a great skill to have. Now, currently, it's kind of hard to be positive. There's a lot more than just the pandemic. Between all the Black Lives Matter protests and the injustice in our world today, saying it happens is not going to fix every problem that you have. It's not going to fix everyone's problems. But it can certainly help you stay calm, and it can certainly help you reduce your stress. The last story I want you to tell you is when I sat down in a chair that was not well put together in my own house, and it completely broke, and I fell onto the ground. And after I got up and looked down at the chair, which had completely splintered, I sat up, looked at my roommate, and I said, "It happens. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day."